This is Osamu Sato, born 1960. He is an artist, photographer, musician, and game developer. Born in 1960 Koto, Japan, Osamu grew up during a great economic time, unlike now. The Olympics were held there, bullet trains were being made, as well as highways. Essentially, Osamu lived in a technologically advanced environment. It was also filled with Shinto shrines, temples, and Buddha statues. There was also artsy stuff outside the house and inside. Osamu lived in a family of artists. Both his dad and grandpa were photographers. Dad was involved in many fine art activities, which means that Dad also had artist friends who Osamu learned from. He was surrounded by art and artists. A very good environment for an inspiring artist to grow up in. His parents helped him get into photography and developing photos. Osamu's dad's friends taught him how to paint vibrantly. His job as a cameraman's assistant got him access to learn about the culture around him much more deeply. And he was exposed to a lot of American and Russian music and art during his visits to expos and record stores. Taking all of this in gave way to a very unique style. Back during his high school days, he practiced print design, graphic art, and silk screening. Then he applied for college and failed the entrance exam. So he did what anyone in his shoes would do in the 70s, cross country across America. During this time, he went to live music, talked to people, and took in some of the culture there. I'd say this can be seen as training, as one way to learn is through experience, and I can't think of a better way to experience culture than to dive right into it. He might have failed college before even getting accepted into college, but that didn't stop him getting recognition for his work. Some of his career milestones are the following. Held an exhibition called Alphabetical Orgasm, which was covered by the press. Created a cult hit LSD Dream Emulator, which later got a fan remake, and awarded a Grand Prix at a digital entertainment program by Sony Music. Also, he did eventually get into a university and study graphic design and art, along with photographic science. Not sure if he graduated, however. What I am sure about is that he's still making content. Here are some examples of his artwork and music. The man has a great sense of composition. These photos prove that he's got the balance of visuals down really well. Every part of that image has something going on. There's no accidental obscuring from what I could see, and there's very nice amounts of contrast going on in each picture. As we continue to look into his photography, we can see that he has a sense of balance in a great deal of his work. Here are some images of New York he took while in America. Seriously, the amount of stuff going on in these photos is incredible. It does look like he edited these photos quite a bit, but it's nothing compared to the photos he did actually edit a lot. And here are some of those edited pictures, taken from his LSD Revamped series, based on his old project, LSD Dream Emulator. It tries to catch that wild feeling the game left on the player, only this time it's purely visual, no worrying about dying in your dream anymore here. Now, you might be able to see some of his graphic design work in these edited images, but he does do purely graphic design work too. It's some of his most vibrant stuff I've seen that isn't assaulting my eyes either. Sure, there's a lot going on in here, but the soft gradients and interesting patterns keep it from becoming unbearable, in my opinion. This group of artwork is titled Self-Portraits, and it made me think, wow, that's a really smart name, because this is all from Osamu's head. We aren't looking at him, but we are looking at his thoughts put into a visual medium. I think that's clever. Good going, Osamu. Now, he also worked in 3D computer graphic design. However, at this point, I'd like to talk about it a bit more in depth. There are two pieces of media created by Osamu Sato's company, OSD, that I spent a long time with. Let's briefly dive into them both. 1994 Eastern Mine, The Lost Souls of Tong Nu. Tong Nu is the name of the island that arises from the eastern part of the world. It was sold for the Macintosh and ran on Macromedia Flash. In the game, you, the player, control Rin and travel to Tong Nu to retrieve his missing soul. If you ever played the game Myst, Eastern Mine fits well into this genre of games. Indeed, on the box it even claims to be like that game, with over 40 hours of immersive fun. In this game, there are many ways to get killed, but you see, you won't get far unless that happens. This game's theme is reincarnation, so once you die as Rin, you begin a new life as one of the various Tong Nu inhabitants, slowly uncovering the mystery of Rin's lost soul, while finding out the dark secrets that the island of Tong now hides. Despite how weird and nonsensical the game looks, it's strangely relaxing and laid back. I'd suggest giving it a watch online. Yes, watch, not play. This game costs around nothing, because it's not available for purchase anymore. Unless you're a computer-savvy person and know how to run emulation software. Just 1 year after, in 1995, a sequel to Eastern Mine came out, called Chuteng. We travel the triangular world that is made up of the sun, moon, and stars. Rin, who is done soul-searching, goes to the Chuteng world. There he must rescue Nashu, the guardian of Chuteng, whose facial features were scattered all around the place. This game is just as weird as its predecessor, except now there's no such thing as reincarnation. If you die here, you get a game over and you need to reload a save, making it exponentially harder. We learn a lot about the Chuteng world, how it's tearing itself apart, mainly light and dark forces, and what we can do to fix it, learning that really it's less about dark overcoming light, or light overcoming dark, but rather to restore balance to both parties. The plot is a lot bigger this time around. On his website, osamu.net, you can contact him directly. I tried this. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to get a hold of him in time for the video. However, I did find an interesting interview he did with the Red Bull Music Academy. Talking with Nick Dwyer, he asked Osamu why he switched from traditional artwork to digital. More accurately, he was asked, what was the moment for you when you decided that the computer was what you would turn your attention to? To which his response was the following. Back then, the Mac 2 was around 4 million yen. Getting the printer, the software, and the Mac 2 would set you back 4 million yen. I was working a lot, and I did have a bit of money, but I certainly didn't have 4 million saved up. I only had something like 2 million. This was before I set up my company. I was thinking of buying a car, but then I saw how computers were changing the landscape of the music scene, like with techno and recording methods and so on. There was just epic-making changes in the nature of music since the first techno came out in the 80s. The Mac 2 was the first time that color could be used in design. Only 256 colors, but still it could be used for design. Then you had Adobe Illustrator coming out around the same time. It could do curves and vectors. You could draw freely with it. So I had this premonition that huge changes were coming in store for design. It cost 4 million yen though, so I used my 2 million yen as down payment and then got a loan to cover the rest. And as you saw, the rest was history. Osamu Sato is a man that can't be bothered with the following such boring things like rules, logic, and coherence. Rather, he takes a different approach, one that I can't quite put my finger on. And that's honestly what makes it so appealing. It's a wild mix of mysticism, geometry, Yellow Submarine knockoffs, and chill vibes, all while having an upbeat nature to it. Thankfully, because he has made games, you can immerse yourself into his creative mind for hours on end. And in my opinion, it's the best way to experience his medium as a whole. You get to see his writing, his music, and his graphic design all harmoniously working together. While he didn't make these games all on his own, it does state that he made the music and directed both of these games, so he had a lot, if not entire control over what happened in them. It's been almost 9 years since I first learned about him, and here I am, still enjoying his work to this day, talking about him too. Granted, there are times I go months without hearing or listening to his stuff. When I do eventually come back to his line of work, I'm always pleasantly surprised to go on a nostalgia trip and enjoy his stuff all over again. Oh, there we go. I hope you found this brief insight into Osamu Sato fun. And remember, wear a mask.